have your fear, which might become reality. And you have Godzilla, which is reality.
I'm sick of Godzilla.
Wake up, everyone!
There are two things you don't know about the Earth. One is me, and the other is Godzilla.
We're safe enough. No human being can understand that. The monsters on Monster Island can understand it.
Whether he returns or not, or is never again seen by human eyes, the things he has taught us remain.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to a very special edition of YHS on Monster Island. Not like the 80s, Mr. Belvedere very special episode. No, we don't have anybody touching you in the wrong place, Ryan. Hopefully not, at least. If we do, just give me like a wink or something. We'll handle it. But no, a very special episode because we don't always get to hang out with you, Mr. Ryan Wilhelm, but we are tonight to talk a little Monster Seafood Wars in our little, we're doing a little two-part, like a pair of parodies, if you will, because Jake and I are talking Death Kappa on next week. So it'll be like, hey, let's do some kaiju parody. And I figured, who better to talk to about kaiju parodies than Mr. Ron Wilhelm? What's going on, dude?
Hey, man, thank you for having me. Yeah, I've been known to enjoy a parody or two myself, right? I'm pretty goofy. And you add goofiness with kaiju, which to some are goofy anyway, right? So it's just, what a great time watching this flick. I mean, it was definitely something that caught me off guard when you mentioned it. And yeah, man, it was a good time.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, Godzilla -1 is hitting Netflix.
Yeah.
We're intense, serious Godzilla films and kaiju, and so we got Ultraman Rising coming, which everybody's real hyped about that, and Monster Seafood Wars. It's perfect.
I threw it on. I told my wife, I was like, hey, I've got to watch this movie real quick. I'm going to talk with Jay about
homework.
It. And she's like, okay, what is it? And I was like, it's a kaiju movie. She's like, okay, I'll put CJ to bed. I'm like, no, I think she'll like this one.
Yeah, it's very cute and cuddly and all that.
Yeah, I mean, good time.
Well, hey, it's been a minute since, I say we, but not me and you, but because we've chatted, obviously, quite often, but you and the YHS on Monster Island audience, listener base, the family has caught up with you, man. So what's been going on the last month or so? Man,
it's been crazy. So I've been working at Heritage Auctions, and we auctioned off a giant Star Wars auction, and the rocket firing Boba Fett sold, which was pretty cool. So I got to have a little hand in that, which was definitely a cool process.
Yeah.
Aside from that, man, I've just been buying, selling, and trading, amazing toys like usual. So
yeah, I love that. Yeah, no, I was, you told me about that. And then literally the next day I started seeing kind of the news wire just popping with everything about that great auction that you guys did for Star Wars. So congrats first off.
Thank you.
Really, that's really cool, man, that you do. That's a cool gig. And
I don't know why they let me do it, but they let me, so
hey, your name's going to be attached to a toy history. So that's what's cool.
Yeah, that's always been my goal from day one, man. I try to tell people this isn't a phase, it's a lifestyle. And if you're kind of a part of that train, then buy the ticket, take the ride, and
absolutely
you'll get somewhere cool. I did. I mean, it's crazy. So,
typically what we like to do when we kick off a show is just catch up on tokusatsu, kaiju adjacent, things that we've been watching before we get into pickups. Because I know you got some pickups, and I'm really excited about that because you know how we can get our little toy collecting rabbit hole. But from a media standpoint, have you been other than Monster Seafood Wars? Have you been really watching anything lately? Digging anything? Not digging anything?
So nothing too crazy, right? Like when -1 came out, my mom was in town celebrating CJ's 5th birthday, so that was pretty cool, and I got to show everyone what a real Godzilla movie is like, right? By showing them -1.
Yeah,
and so I probably had 3 different viewings of that over the past, week or so now, or however long it's been out.
Yeah.
So I've seen the movie 8 times now, which is crazy. But
nice. Still a very positive outlook on it. Has anything kind of mellowed a little bit?
So honestly, the 8th time starting it, right? I still had the butterflies and everything hit. And I mean, no, man, it's maybe I'm just a fanboy for it, or whatever other term you want to label me with, right? But like that movie is almost perfect for what it is, right? For what it is. And I think that's kind of the lane that I occupy it now. After seeing it so many times, I don't try to write it off as being a flawless masterpiece, or I don't overtly critique things. For me, it's just, you know, A to Z. It's just, it hits all the notes on the right head that it tries to, and yeah, it's a quality film, man. And it was fun to see my mom and my brother, who really couldn't care less about Godzilla, and I've tortured them with it pretty much my whole life, right?
Yeah.
They finally came around and said, like, okay, this movie wasn't half bad. And I was like, you should watch the other ones. But, you know, we'll get there one day.
We'll get there one day. Well, that's awesome that your mom and your brother got to, you know, I mean, that's a good, honestly, that's a good one to start some non-believers.
Exactly. I was like, I will show you the way, you know.
No, I'm excited. Like, I haven't sat down with a larger group to watch it since it's been on Netflix, like some non-Godzilla fans, to see kind of their reaction. So I'm excited to do that now that it's like, obviously the accessibility is there. So
yeah, man. I mean, I know everybody made the grand post, you know, like it's out now, it's on Netflix, just watch it. But honestly, if you can, you know, definitely check it out, because it's a great flick. And like I said, so many people that aren't about this community or about these films like we are, have really enjoyed it. So
yeah, for sure. What else? Anything else that you've been watching, or anything that you've been like meaning to watch? Like anything that's like on the docket now?
Yeah, man. So I really want to get back into watching Ultraman. Like over the past year, I've just kind of not been doing that as often for some reason. But usually I'll crush an episode or two a night. It's kind of like a relaxing show, you know?
Yeah.
And I'll make my way through all of the Ultraman, right? I did it with Kamen Rider before as well. But yeah, it's just something I've been so busy that I just feel like I haven't had time. I'll turn something on and I'll just fall asleep.
Yeah, no, believe me, I've been there. Yeah, I've been doing that, you know, for the last year or so, and I feel like I can get through Ultra Q, Ultraman, Ultra 7 1,000 times. Like it's such easy watching. I don't know. There's something about it. Return of Ultraman, I like most of it, and there's some really great episodes and stuff. I think
it's spotty.
It's spotty. It feels like it's a little bit long. I do, and I'm revisiting Ace right now, and
cool.
It's not like, it's been harder for me to get back into it, and I don't think it's necessarily like the quality of Ace or any of the vibe or anything, because I think it's really fun. I just have been like distracted by other things, like like, oh, I want to, you know, revisit Mirror Man. Of course, obviously, you know, sometimes I just got to put on Spectre Man because it's Spectre Man, but or, you know, or Fireman, or, you know, Jumborg Ace, or whatever it might be. And recently, Akamizer 3 was when I was like, I was trying to catch some, you know, finding some English subs, some fan subs on that one. It's great. The one though that I've watched this weekend, I'd never seen it before. I know it's a popular one. It's not like a hidden gem. Oh, it's probably a hidden gem to most people, but like not a hidden gem to like real tokusatsu junkies. And I don't put myself in that category as far as like from a like Henshin hero thing, but is Space Iron Man Kyodyne. And like I said, it was really popular, but the premise essentially is a professor, a doctor, and he has 3 children, 2 older, like adult, you know, alpha male type sons, and then like a younger one, like a, you know, a Kenny and Gamera type thing.
The black sheep. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's just little. I mean, you know, hey, the doctor, you know, he was getting around still in his older years, you know, and so he had a younger kid. Anyway, him and the 2 older ones basically get like abducted by, you know, this alien race, you know, hellbent on taking over the world. I think they're like the Dada aliens, not from Ultraman, but anyway, they take them, and eventually like they start invading Earth, and the 2 brothers come back full like Transformer style robot looking things, but obviously predating that. But their faces, like the screens on their face, are the faces of the actors, and like they're like basically like, you know, their spirit or their whatever are being projected through these robots, and they're fighting these bad guys. So it's really cool. So the thing though that's neat about it is like all the scenes that I'm fighting are with these like evil robot army people. It's edited in this weird way that's like choppy and crazy, and like it like will make your head spin, but yet it's like done in like, I don't know, the pseudo surrealist artsy type way, within the context of being a silly 70s tokusatsu show, right? So I was just like enamored with it. I was like, what is going on here? And these like just random robot things will just like, you know, appear, and like their arm will show up in their body, and then they'll just start marching around in a circle, like going really fast, like a British comedy, like a Benny Hill. Yeah. One of them is the crazy like religious pastor guy, and the other one is the comedian. Anyway, so that one that runs around, it's just so insane, but really cool. So I've been enjoying that. I've watched the first 2 episodes. I'm like, yeah, but those are the only 2 that are on the Toei YouTube channel. I think the other ones have to go like archive and try to archive.org and try to find them subtitled or find a fan sub somewhere. So I want to check that one out. I know there's lots of cool toys from that line, but
I was just going to ask, what about the toys?
Yeah. I mean, they were like that era, man. Just bam. Yeah. You're not gonna. What's the point of having a show if you don't have a toy line, right?
Exactly.
And so Space Iron Man, Kyodyne, very, 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 very fun. And so I want to do that, and I want to continue watching Akumizer, and I think I made it to like half of Mirror Man. The one that's been on my list to rewatch, because I don't know if I've seen every episode, is Zone Fighter. You know, like that's one that
I haven't either.
Yeah, I want to revisit that. So it's just, there's just so much. So it's like, well, Ultraman, there's a zillion series, and like, do I revisit something I kind of know the premise and what happens in this one? Do I at least get to like Ultraman 80? Like, I mean, where do I stop? And then you know, that's without even talking Kamen Rider or Sentai or anything like that. So there's just too much, but it's a good problem.
Oh yeah, wholeheartedly. Anytime you think like I'm burnt out, there's nothing to watch, you're just not looking for something.
No.
You know what I mean? Because there's always something, man.
Yeah. I mean, I literally like, I use it as a discovery tool as I go to the Toei YouTube page, and I just like sort through, and like a lot of the series that will only have like 1 episode, right? But like, that'll be like, okay, it's my teaser, right? Do I want to like, it's extended trailer? Do I want to explore this? I think they only have a couple series where they have like every episode already like English subtitled and such, but it's like some of them are just so over the top crazy. I'm like, I love this. This is so good. But that's, I don't know. I think it's great. So that's what I've been watching. Aside from Seafood Wars, and I told you this off air, I just got the Great Buddha Arrival, the, you know, kind of the inspired by the lost film from the 30s, you know, one of the original kaiju films, I think 1934, that 3Y did. I think it was 3Y, that same one that did like Hoshi 35 and stuff. But it has Akira Takarada in it. It has Peggy Neal in it from the X from Outer Space, the late great Peggy Neal. It has Akira Kubo in it. Yeah, so like it has some like heavy hitters. And so I wanted to check that one out because I hadn't, and they were doing that huge SRS Cinema. I don't know if you saw this, is doing that huge liquidation sale. So like a lot of Blu-rays and DVDs and maybe some VHS of all of their films, including almost all of their kaiju films, are like $4. I think I got the Blu-ray for Buddha Arrival for like $9 or $9.99 or something. Yeah, but literally like Hal Beyond the Fog, Nezra, Wangmagwi, all of those, they are like, it's like liquidation, especially probably for like DVD. I think Blu-ray and VHS probably are the more popular ones, and DVD just kind of fits right in the middle. But yeah, if you want some cheap stuff, go check out SRS Cinema if they still have it up. And I know they have a ton of other low budget horror stuff and everything, but the kaiju stuff is it's legit. I think Well God is on there as well too. So yeah, some cool stuff. Cool. Yeah,
I still need to see that.
It's good. I like Well God. I know a lot of people don't. I think it's not a kaiju film, but I still like it. I think it's a good film. And Wangmagwi is just insane. I'm definitely not calling that a good film, but it's, you know, when you have literally, if I can say, hey, I'm going to give you a lost Korean film or a hidden Korean film that includes, you know, a kid urinating inside the head of a monster, a guy jumping off a building with an umbrella randomly, a guy like going to the bathroom in the corner. Like, yeah, I know, right? It's like, sure, why not?
I'll watch it.
I know. Sure. Well God and Wagbogwe. No, nothing, nothing a lot. But I like Well God. Cool.
Very cool.
But, so hey, let's talk toys, man.
Ooh.
I know it's been a while, so I want to see what you've been getting, other than what you've posted on your Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that, because we get a little peek into it. But what else? What are some of the gems you've been picking up?
Man, honestly, it's too much, right? Like I've been just getting all kinds of stuff and from a variety of properties, right? So just give me 1 second. I'll rendezvous a few pieces. I'll be right back.
Perfect.
First of all, I was involved with a really cool trade. Shout out to my friend Ryan Mudaka. I also work with him.
I love trades. I love a good
Heritage. Yeah, so we did a king for a king. So I had an all red Gigabrain King Ghidra.
Okay.
And I traded for his Booyah King Caesar from Marmot. Make mine a Marmot.
Yes, the Marmot. Yeah, it's another Marmot Monday, man. I love it.
I mean, it's a beautiful gem. I've wanted one of these for quite a while.
I don't have that one. I'm very jealous. That's still that next time I'm over at your house. I think that's the best sculpt of our good Okinawan god. I think it's the best one. Yeah. I mean, look at that.
It's pretty rad. And so next to him in my case is the beautiful Max Toyko.
Yes.
So they're buddies.
Well, you can never get rid of that Max Toyko, and just because of the funny story about that one where you literally ordered it online as Ryan Mundaka at a toy show was trying to pick it up and pay for it. He got his eventually, but I think that one has a special meaning to it.
So I was trying to explain that to him. The reason why I wanted this so badly too from his collection, right, is because now both of my King Caesars come from him in a roundabout way, right?
I love that.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, so that is an epic piece, man. That is, if you ever decide to part with that one, you talk to me first, man.
Definitely. I started another team, Jay. I told myself, Wilhelm, stop collecting teams. Teams are the worst thing.
Because they mean more money.
Yeah, you're going to have to buy 5 or 6, right, to complete the team. Battle of the Planets.
Oh, wow.
Everybody knows Battle of the Planets, right? Hopefully, right? We're not that old. I mean, I would like to think.
Yeah, I think everybody kind of knows the iconography and like the imagery of them. I never watched it, but I mean, I obviously knew it as much as I would know Voltron
Battle of the Planets Kaiju 1. I'm not sure if these are still available, but if they are, definitely go get them. They're
those
incredible.
Are the ones, were those on Hakaba Gallery, the Graveyard Gallery?
Possibly. I don't want to speak out of turn, but I think so.
Okay.
I got these directly from Kaiju 1, though.
Nice.
Super cool people. Just reach out on Instagram. That's usually where you can contact them. But yeah, man. So now I'm in for the 5. You know, it's terrible, but like terribly awesome.
Have they released the other ones yet, or is it just like are those the first 2?
Those 2, and then they released the non-transformed version where they're just in their street attire. Mm-hmm. They're doing all 5 of both versions, though.
So you're in for 10.
Yeah, probably. That's a rough one, right? So I got something unique, something non-kaiju.
Okay.
Check out this tiny Optimus Prime.
I love Optimus Prime.
And I know you're thinking like, well, what's so cool about this, right? This, my friend, is a Hot Wheel. It transforms. Yeah, so while I'm explaining to you that this transforms, I'm transforming it. So 2 seconds, and we will have a Hot Wheel Optimus Prime. You've wanted one of these your entire life, right? I know I have. It's insane.
That's crazy.
Die-cast metal, transforms, Hot Wheel scale. I mean, this is awesome.
It's kind of
gimmicky
crazy.
Is all get out, but like amazing, right? Like, I mean,
it's kind of crazy that hasn't already in like 19 iterations by now. I mean, it's not, you know what I mean? Like, it seems so obvious.
Exactly, and they're making one that doesn't transform that has the trailer.
Oh, nice.
Get that one, throw that away, put the trailer on this one, and you're set.
100%.
Okay,
gosh, that's awesome. As I'm looking at a G1 Optimus Prime. It's the only Transformer that I own now, but I like a lot of good red-blooded American males born in the 1980s. I went through a big Transformers phase.
You have to, right? GoBots are better. I'll die on that hill. But
I forgot you're a GoBots person. I forgot.
Hey, man. Right. I grew up in Ohio. I'm sorry. You know, GoBots are better.
Hey, yeah, I mean, Ohio's kind of like like the bargain basement estate. So you like the bargain basement? No, no, I like I'm joking. I like Ohio a lot. I like GoBots. I was always a GoBots defender. Not it's better than Transformers, but I was like,
yeah, it's crazy.
No, it's good. I will die on this hill, and this is one of my hot take on GoBots. I still think Psykill is a better villain than Megatron. I really do.
All day, twice on Sunday.
Psykill's great. Evil. Yeah. But anyway, yeah.
Dude, I agree wholeheartedly. And I think, the most recent thing I got today from one Peter Santamaria and Mondo.
I think I got it too.
Takaro! Dude.
Oh, your lights make it look really cool, man. I think your camera lights make it look almost purple.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Yeah, he's way more pink, right? But
yeah.
This guy is insane.
Yeah.
One of my biggest pet peeves, real quick, man. One of my biggest pet peeves is when they're holding a toy that they made, right? And they're like, this is really toyetic. But a lot of people say that about stuff.
Yeah.
And so I get it, right? I just kind of like rub it off my shoulder. The first thing I said when I pulled this out of the box, it's like, damn, Peter's right. This thing is so toyetic, man. The articulation, albeit somewhat minimal for what it is, does enough, right?
Oh,
and
the swivel is great.
Yeah, dude. Like it's so easy. It has so much character, and like, yeah, this is amazing.
So I'm glad you mentioned that about toyetic. I know that's how I am about Grails.
Right.
Like people say Grail, I'm like, oh, whatever, just stop it. And toyetic, same thing. It's like how you described it, I think, is beautiful. It's very poetic how you describe toyetic, because it's when you know it, it'll just come out. Like it's like when this is a Grail, like you'll know it. You don't be like, hey, this is a Grail, I can get it tomorrow for $100.
Right.
I don't know. So yes, I feel your pain on that. But yeah, this is a beautiful figure. I did the Kickstarter for Takaro for the book and everything, which will come with the black and white version of this. I think it's so crazy we're getting this one early. But this is like my favorite colorway of anything. I love what does Mondo call it? The Miami Vice one, or Vice or whatever.
Yeah, the first kaiju from Miami, right?
Yeah, I know. I love the teal and pink, the Umi variant that Mondo did for their Godzilla 84. This colors are great. And so like the fact that this is with this amazing sculpt, this amazing toy, amazing design, Peter killed it. I'm so excited for when that book ships, because it's going to be like the world of Takaro is going to be, just fully fleshed out. And so that'll be really cool. The thing I like about this one is the details are so great. Like he has a slight like underbite on the bottom. So like those bottom two teeth come out at the right here. Like there's just little things that make it so beautiful. The hip swivel is great though. I don't know, he has almost like a Ninja Turtle type the feet, but they're great out for standing. And I don't know. This is a perfect stuff, Peter. Great stuff.
Yeah, man, he's got so much attitude. And this is my first Peter Santamaria piece, so I figured what better, right, than his original creation. So like I'll eventually get one of those Mecha Godzillas. Those are sick.
And those are shipping out, I think, soon.
Yeah.
So like the next week or so. So
his creature from the Black Lagoon is like, I mean, come on, it's insane.
Yeah. The glow in the dark variant looked really cool. I have the statue, the Godzilla Museum statue that he first did, and then Takaro, and then I'll have one. I have two Mecha Godzillas coming. I don't know which one I'll put up there, kind of in that little triumvirate of Attack Peter things for now, until he does something else that I need. But him and Hector and the team over at Mondo are on fire. They're doing so much good stuff. But I was surprised with the Takaro stuff, because I know when that came out, the Kickstarter, it was through Skybound, and I didn't know all the business and the back end dealings. I was like, okay, like we're not going to get anything until that Takaro thing is done, and maybe he'll be able to do some other cool stuff under the Mondo label. So when I saw this, to me it was like out of nowhere, and I was like, holy cow, this is like the perfect colorway. This is so cool. I'm excited. I hope he can expand that universe in his style with this scale toy, because I know some of the other creatures and monsters and things in that world have to be really cool. And like I said, that's why I'm waiting for the book, right? To like see those other things that come out of Peter's brain and in this style.
Yeah, man. I don't think he's anywhere near done, right? I mean, I don't know, but I'm just saying, like, I think he's just getting started. It's going to be rad.
Yeah. for sure. What else you got, man?
Really, one of the coolest things. I know we mentioned the word Grail, but this piece is tattooed on my forearm. So I will start off with saying that.
That's a good like box to check in the.
This is one I've wanted for a hot minute. I'll say.
Yeah.
So, I was able to acquire, with the help of a good friend, Jakey in Toku Toy Town, the bronze M1 Nakajima, right? So, yes. In my opinion, it doesn't get cooler than this. I won't use the G word on it, Godzilla. But yeah, man, this is a home run every time up at bat, right? And it's just so surreal that like I have one, and that's kind of a part of this for me now, right? Like we've been at this for quite a while and collecting. I've had a lot of really cool stuff come in and go out, and regrets, and like, oh, I got to get that back. And like, this is one that when it became available, it was like, okay, well, I'm going to get it. There's no toying around, pun intended, right? And it's forever going to be mine. And so that's a cool thing, man. You know, and it's a special piece, and it's Godzilla's 70th. And so like an ultimate celebration piece. Yeah. To the 54, which started it all. My favorite film. I absolutely love this. So I'm going to top off my random ramblings of toys and stuff with the greatest. Right?
I will tell you, like I had, I don't own that toy, and I'd never seen it in person. And I was really shocked with how like nicely the colorway is on it. To like it, I thought, okay, is it going to be like too like almost like matte brown? But like there's some like depth to it. Like it does feel like it's like a polished bronze. Like it's really like or an antique bronze or whatever. It looks great. It's a cool piece. And I'm glad you got it, man. That's one of those signature pieces. It really is. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I love it wholeheartedly, man. So,
I mean, if it's tattooed on you, you almost have to own it, you know?
That's what I was saying, right? You know, I've got, the first blue pants, and like, that's rad too. I've had that since like 2017 or something. But like, this has always been at the top of my list. I've told David Dobko, hey man, if you ever want to sell that, let me know, dude. And he, laughs it off.
Yeah.
As he should, because who would?
Yeah, he should.
I mean, no one should sell this. Like, so,
Well, I was glad you were able to acquire that. That's a big one. I haven't picked up anything that would be in that echelon of my collecting, but I did pick up something really cool this week. Or I picked it up. It arrived at my doorstep. I just bought it.
Picked it up.
But yeah, I did pick it up from there. And this was one. So I really did like Spiral's first foray into a Spiral toy into Sofubi with their MonsterVerse Godzilla. I thought it was a well done piece. I like it. It's sitting right up there. It's great. And I got the first colorway of the two that have been released. The kind of the darker one. The blue.
I like the first one the best too.
Yeah. But I didn't know what they were going to do next. And conceptually I like kind of they went with that Metacom Vinyl Wars approach of like it's going to be a collaborative stuff. We're going to get obviously Akamatsu from Marmot's going to be involved, but like what, are we going to get other designers and stuff and kind of piece everything together, do the painting and the sculpting, and Slugbat is great. And they were able to tap into that to do something totally different. Like this is equally as good, but does not look like it's from the same company that did the MonsterVerse one, which is to me is great. And this is the Spiral Toy 65 and I absolutely adore this. I wasn't like, I don't want to say I was shocked because I thought it wouldn't be good because the other one was good. It has, a heritage in Marmot, and so like I'm like it has to like there's the worst case scenario. It's okay. Right. I absolutely love it. I dig it. I dig the colorway. It is your basic kind of black, kind of opening colorway. I love the yellow highlights on the spines, but I love the size and the scale, and it's fun, and it definitely captures the essence of modern Sofubi, where it's not as outlandishly whimsical as vintage stuff, where it's like, is it Anguirus or is it Varan? This is Godzilla 65, but it's still like softer and fun and goofy and great, but well done. I think this is excellent. A lot of texture to it. So I'm really excited to see what they do next. And I'm not expecting anything to be similar to this. Maybe some other colorways, but I hope their next Godzilla or whatever they do is a different artist, a different style, but still, kind of this traditional 9-inch Sofubi. But absolutely good stuff.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to get one of those. I was at work and I saw it was available, and I was like, okay, cool, I'm going to do that. Answered a few emails, went back, sold out. I was like,
yeah,
hey.
I think they only did 100. Yeah, so testing the waters, the other part that I have to mention, which I don't have here in front of me, is our good buddy Bob Eggleton, the legendary Bob Eggleton, the greatest science fiction and fantasy author of our lifetimes. Bob Eggleton did the header card. Only. I know, and the header card is exceptional, as as you can imagine, because it was Bob Eggleton, but it was done in the Bob Eggleton style. It was great. It would pair perfect with this. I loved it.
Yeah, man, I really hope they do more. I hope Bob does the header cards on those as well. Fingers crossed.
So I know like a lot of people don't care as much about packaging and Sofubi because it's a plastic bag and a header card. And I know some header cards, look at Metacom. It literally is a black header card with like block letters, copy Vinyl Wars, and then Marasan's kind of the same one every time, over and over. I do like when they not only do header card, but like it is pretty unique and cool. Like I think of like for the Godzilla and the Toho licensed stuff from like Max Toy, like Mark's kind of the Kaiju, like where the Ultraman stuff, like all of his stuff that he does for Subaru and Toho are so good. And Toygraph, I know, tapped into him to do the 25 and 50% transforming Mecha Godzillas. When Bob does that, I love that Tom Whalen does the art on Mondo for a lot of the Mondo stuff. I don't know. I think that the header art could be explored a little bit more with that kind of like a guest celebrity artist type stuff to do this, because Bob's is, it really was, I'm not lying, it was a selling point for the toy because it's that cool. And Agreed. It's not like, I'll have 19 other variations of this to get the same header card. It was unique to this. So I don't know. I think it's neat. I think there's I don't say missed opportunity, but I would really hope that some other companies invest in some of the more noted artists in the kaiju genre, to have some Yuji Kaida and Nishikawa, and I'm sure they've done stuff in the past, but make it more, more prominent. And Nagata does great stuff. Obviously, Wayland, Matt Frank, I think Bob did a Metacom Hedera one in the past as well, a header card. Cool. So anyway, I think I hope that people do more, because it was really cool. Like I know when it came out of the pack or the box, I picked it up by the header and I was like, yes, like this toy is going to be great no matter what already, because this header card is awesome.
That was part of it for me, big time.
Yeah.
I was a little late to the gun, but like, gosh, the header card on that piece is easily 50% of it for me. I was like, yeah that's amazing.
Yeah, it's nuts. And it's also like, it's also easier to keep a header card as opposed to a giant box, right? Coming from like non-Sofubi toy collecting, it's like, you buy a giant playset to display. Like, what do you do with the box? Like your X Plus, do you save the box? Even though why? But to resell, I guess. But with header cards, it's easier to like store them away and keep them like in a little accordion file or something. And
I have so many header cards. They're just like literally all over the place.
Yeah.
I can just pull them out. It's a sickness.
It is. It really is. And it's like, there's no way I'm going to tell them which Marasan ones are. I have 89s. Like they all are the same. You have to be like, I don't know. I'd have to I guess some of them have a little sticker that says like, neon pink 350 series from blah, blah, blah. But I'm not going through all that. Yeah. But anyway, so those are some awesome pickups, dude. I'm glad you're able to get the big Nakajima one, but don't sleep on that Takaro, dude. That's going to be...
Honestly, guys, hey, get this while you can, right? Like, I'm pretty sure Mondo's sold out now on their website.
I think so, too.
I would scour eBay. I hate to say that, but I would check out groups. People are going to get it in hand. Someone's car is going to break down or something, God forbid, whatever. They're going to be like, I need to sell this. Yep. Jump on it.
Like, last in, first out with toys, man. So it's like, I just got this, so I needed it to go. Because
this is so rad.
It is.
It might be like in my top 5 right now for toys of the year already. That's crazy. But hey, man, Jay and I were talking before the show. Like, we're in June. G-Fest is next month. Like, things are going to start happening. So build those top 10s, like.
Oh, I know. I've already put a few down, and it just stinks because now there's like freaking Neo Player One screws everything up because they're all awesome. They would be a top 10, but it's like nobody ever sees them aside like the 10 people that have them. So it's like I have to factor accessibility in there, which is funny you mentioned that. So because of with this is kind of more overall YHS and toy anxiety talk, but because Ghostbusters Frozen Empire came out when it did, like they had to kind of punt the Jeffries, and so we didn't get to do our Kaiju Toy of the Year, but we have them. We have the nominees and same Kaiju Toy Line of the Year. So Jake and I might do that like in June for last year's. So just so everybody knows, like we had them, I promise. But yeah, it's like we're gonna be done with that, and then we're already gonna be prepping for 2024.
Time is just flying. It's crazy.
It's gonna be hard. I mean, to me that Onraku Space Godzilla is up there. I mean, Neo Player One, like, yes, all of them, but like, I'm excited. Hopefully by next week, hopefully by tomorrow, I might have the Saru Jirushi Wacky Racers in hand. So I'm really hopeful that those might be in there as well. But, I want to see those in person. But that would be something that, I think at least on paper from the images could be up there. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's been, I don't know, just like, yes, I need it stuff.
The Onraku Space Godzilla, that might be number one. I mean,
it's really good. It's really good. Depends when the Gappa family comes out. That has to be in there too, because that looks so cool too. And the Destroya, the Marasan Destroya, but I don't know when that's coming out. But the Metacom one, or the Onraku Metacom one, that's going to be awesome. There's a lot.
Yeah, that's probably number one. Okay.
Yeah. There may be some really cool event exclusives coming up, some cool events coming up that might be in there as well. You just never know, man.
It's true.
It's like talk to me after Summer Wonderfest. And then usually after that it's like, okay, we have them. And then somebody will drop something in December. Like, what? Like as we make it our list, it's like, oh, we're gonna throw that in there. I forgot what it was last year. I think it was the GMK Onraku that hit like either really late last year or the year prior. It was like, oh, I'm gonna add that in there because like it finally shipped in like December. So it's like, it counts now.
And they've disappeared too, right? It's like you can't.
There's only a few out there that I've seen, and they've gone up considerably. But that was in my top 10 list, not my top 10 favorite, but not my top 5 or whatever toys of the year, but like my top 10 on my wish list. It was number 10, so I gotta find one. Jake's killing me on the top 10 list, man.
Dude, I know he's been on fire.
He's destroyed me. It's like, well, also I'm an idiot for putting Marmot Godzilla towers that I don't have, specific ones, because I have 2, like the blue one, blue-green one, and then also Neo Player ones. I'm like, well, there's 3 I ain't getting. It's not happening.
Dude, out of nowhere, those towers, they were hovering around 500-600, which is a lot. Yeah. But man, boom, 1,500 now, like all day. Like what? Like,
yeah, crazy. Yeah. I think I really wanted the green and blue one, and it went up for auction. This is probably about a year ago, less than a year ago, and I was like, I really want it. I put a really aggressive bid on. I was like, I'll just not collect anything for like 6 months. But it ended up selling for close to like 2,300 or something. So I just was like, yeah, I got 2. I'm good. I got 2, so I can't get greedy yet. But I also don't want to lose to Jake again. Next year I'm going to put like Bandai Movie Monster Series, Ultraman done. Like something like
I got them all.
I got them all today. I win. No. But yeah, that was like the Neo Player one, the green 95, the first 95 they released. I'm like, if it pops up, that's like $4,000, $5,000. I haven't seen the blue 64, the one that's my favorite of all of them. I just haven't seen it in a year. Like it hasn't shown up for whatever price. It hasn't shown up for $10,000. It hasn't shown up for anything. So we'll see. Anyway, you brought up a lot of cool stuff coming. So let's talk about some cool things. First, before we get into a couple events, we haven't chatted. Ultraman Rising on Netflix. How excited are you for the new? I don't know. Is it? I mean, it's technically not an anime, right? It's like a Pixar style animation thing.
Anime adjacent, maybe.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Like, so personally, not super stoked. But that said, I played the trailer, and CJ, my 5-year-old, seemed somewhat engaged.
Oh, nice.
Which is cool because if I can get her into it, I'll watch it all day, and then of course that'll likely build, the fandom within. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna jump on it day one. Kind of can't wait. Hopefully CJ's into it. If not, I'll probably see it out. But it looks okay. I mean, I'm not anti or anything, but it doesn't look like something that I'm like, yes, feed me.
It's not.
What about
it's
you?
not, not Shin Ultraman, right? Where,
Right.
Yeah, it's almost identical.
Yeah.
I think I love that they're doing it because I think it's smart to build a younger fan base that becomes an older fan base and becomes more ingrained in the Ultraman lore and the Ultraman franchise. I think it's brilliant to do that. I think this is a Pixar style film that hopefully will have like some good adult and kid humor, so it plays to both. Like you can let your 7 or 8, 9-year-old watch it, but also you can be an adult that loves Ultraman and still like enjoy some of it. So yeah, I've heard really good things about some of the initial screenings and stuff. So I'm excited. I know we're having a special screening in Dallas on the 13th over at the Inwood. So I don't know. I'm not being able to make that one, but I think that will be really cool that we're one of the markets that's having this special kind of screening the night before it hits Netflix. So cool. I'll watch it and I think I'll dig it. I'm not thinking like, to me, it's just like it is another channel within the Ultraman franchise to get more people to like it. I'm no different than the MonsterVerse and Godzilla. It's like you can be a lifelong Godzilla fan, but the MonsterVerse isn't meant to get you into the franchise. It's meant to get somebody else into the franchise. I think it's not for us. Like it's for somebody that might be discovering Ultraman for the first time that may be a little bit younger. But that doesn't mean we can't enjoy it and like it. But I think it's going to do really good things for the Ultraman series, more so than I think even like the anime did with the 3 seasons of the anime. I think that definitely played towards an Ultraman fandom a little bit in the anime crew that might not be fully into all the past Ultraman stuff. But I think this one opens it up even more, and I think that's what you got to do especially when you're trying to break in even bigger into the North American market. I don't know. I think it's a smart move. I think it's going to be good. I do think it's going to be good.
I think so too. And I put it akin in a way to like Superman, right? Like Superman's been around for so long, and there's a bunch of cool Superman stuff, and there's a bunch of Superman stuff that honestly I don't really care for too much, right? But it still serves a purpose for the brand Superman. Ultraman's kind of the same, right? And this is going to be like a step above like a Lois and Clark, if you will, right? It's like, I don't know, but then you test it out and it's like, actually, that wasn't half bad, Lois and Clark, So,
well, and like Godzilla's done a good job of that, and I think they're doing better about like, you have to have something for everybody if you want to bring him to the franchise, and really for everybody, even more so than like their tastes in media, but more so like the age groups. Because you have to have something for that. And I think Godzilla's doing a better job than it has previously on that. And it's always evolved. That's what kept Godzilla around for so long. But I think Ultraman is really smart for going a big way here. And I hope that like, we see more and more kind of kids at the school that, when you drop your daughter off, it's not just Paw Patrol and Bluey and Pokemon. Ultraman. Like you see some Ultraman stuff. Cause like, it's not there yet, but is this something that can take it to that level? At least a start. But I hope so. I really hope so. But
fingers crossed.
Yeah. So that being said, and we'll get to talk about that in like a little over a week because it comes out in like 8 days. So it's nuts.
That's insane. Like
I know it's like kind of snuck up, but good stuff. Good sneaking up, not the creepy.
Good.
Stuff.
Yeah.
That would be the different special episode. But since I have you on here, and so these are 2 events that not only will we both be at together, but one is the event, and the other one to us is pretty significant. I know, right? I want to get to just chat a little, not necessarily like a full preview, but let's just chat. And that, of course, the first one is our good friends over at G-Fest. So it is a month away, like a little over a month and some change, man.
That's crazy.
I feel like we were just there.
It does feel like that. I was talking to Amanda about that at dinner tonight. It's like, G-Fest is nearly a month away, and it feels like it was just a month ago. But then I think about how much stuff has happened in the calendar year, and it's like, man, what a year. It's crazy, and I can't wait to get back and just hang out with everybody, like Triple L and Tanner and Thirsty Thursday. I mean, like our little crew, man, it's the best. Jess and Sweaty Vinyl, and like, yeah, man. Michael
There's
Lynch.
so many cool people there. There really is. And I mean, the cool thing I like about G-Fest, and you can say this about a lot of conventions, is like it really is a little bit of a choose your own adventure. There's enough stuff there that like it's great for people that love, that are autograph hunters and love that and want to meet the celebrities and the people that have, had their fingerprints in the, the setting the DNA for Godzilla and Ultraman and Tokusatsu in general. There's really cool stuff. There's gaming tournaments, there's board games, there's the costume parade, there's Jeopardy or G-Party. You can get a tattoo. There's the modeling, kind of the modeling course thing where it's basically like you're can learn and see other like really great model kit builders and painters and stuff do their thing. There's the films there on site that are constantly running, a lot from SRS, a lot from
cool.
Asylum, and then a lot of self-produced stuff and fan films, right? Which is really cool. One thing that is the one thing being in the vendors hall for so long is I do hate missing out on some of those because I know there's some like really great like hidden gems or things that we wouldn't see because they're a fan film, right? And then of course the movies at the Pickwick and everything, so and the panels and all that good stuff. So I think it's neat that everybody can do their own thing. But for me, especially now because of the Toy Town stuff, we're in that vendor hall. And that vendor hall is rocking for basically 3 days. And it is not just the place to buy toys. It's kind of the social hub. It's kind of like the food court, and using 80s malls where the food court was where everybody hung out. It is really kind of the food court minus the food. And it's great and it's fun. And that's where I just feel like the stuff goes down there.
It's where we belong, I mean,
surrounded by toys and Godzilla fans. I love it.
Yeah, man. I mean, there is no better place. Like when my boss told me, like, all right, so you're taking vacation in July. What are you doing? I'm like, I'm gonna go work at a festival in Chicago. He's like, you're gonna work on vacation? I'm like, oh man, this is gonna be the greatest vacation I could possibly go on. Yeah, it's gonna be amazing.
Yeah. It is. It's like it's. We pay for our trip, man. It's we try to make it a free vacation. No, it's super fun. And the other vendors, there's like a little community there. It was our first time to vend last year. So it was neat to kind of see who hang like the kind of camaraderie between the vendors and just kind of because they're there all day together, right? And just like and like hanging out and chatting with those. And we had a great location. So our neighbors, our vendor booth buddies were the best because they were our friends from just by chance that happened to be at the booth they were working at. So it's so fun. And, just to talk to the people that come up to your booth and just like, whether they buy something or not, like to have those conversations and to have them one after the other for like 3 days straight is so crazy. Nuts. And I always go back to growing up, a Godzilla fan. And, Jake always talks about like, he always felt he was the only person that knew who Godzilla was, right? Like it was like nobody else. You didn't pre-internet and stuff, and we didn't interact with anybody. And for all you youngsters out there that like were on the internet right away and like, oh, there's fandoms everywhere. Like I hate you now. I'm happy. But we didn't have
congratulations.
I know, right? And so like still to me, it's novelty to like be that engaged with so many other people in person. And I think that's what's cool. And, I'd go to these toy shows here locally where it was a big toy show, pop culture stuff. There were guests, 1 out of every 100 people might be a Godzilla fan, right? Maybe 1 out of every 500 people. And that was still super fun to talk to all those kaiju people. And then Godzilla, it's all 7,000 of them. And so I don't know, man, it is something special. And I'm really excited to drive up there and do that and hopefully talk a lot of Sofubi with hundreds of people in the vendor hall.
Yeah, man. And like you said too, right? Last year, it was a big thing for us to not make people feel like they had to buy something, right? We were there just to share this with everyone. And a lot of people said to me, like, it's cool that you guys aren't super pushy. And like, they would come back around, they would literally soak up the whole area and then come back and talk to us and show us other stuff that they bought. And it was really cool, man. I mean, we were definitely building serious relationships with people. And I think they understood that, like, that's just kind of how we operate. You know, I mean, I think that's an important thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think we try to treat it. It's like an extension of our shows and what we do. Like, you know, obviously, that Jake and I do a lot on YHS on Monster Island, that you do on Collect All Monsters, and the various podcasts and shows that you join. Like, we just like talking about this stuff. And
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we'll do our best to make a deal for you and everything. And we're there to sell. I get that, but like at the end of the day, like it's the fact that we are surrounded by these things that we love and being able to hopefully get these in the hands of other people. And I feel like with Sofubi, which we obviously, that's our bread and butter. Like that's what we have mostly at the booth and stuff. And not everywhere at G-Fest is Sofubi focused. You know, it's a lot of X Plus and a lot of like high end articulate or detailed stuff. There's the, you know, your Bandai stuff. There's awesome art from, you know, Matt Frank and Bob Eggleton. And there's some really cool stuff, vintage posters, you name it, right? There's something for everybody in the vendor room. But for that's obviously it's Sofubi centric. And I just feel like at G-Fest, a lot of people were in their early stages of really loving this stuff. And I'm can remember when that was me. And so it's like, it's neat to be able to like give somebody either their first or one of their favorite new Sofubi items and, you know that, you know, it's the one that first of like 3,000 that they're going to be buying probably in the next like month. Yeah, I don't know if that makes us a pusher. I don't know. Are we like drug dealers now, the Sofubi drug?
In a good way.
In a good way.
Yeah,
but that's what's really cool. That's what's really cool. It's like you get to talk about something you love and maybe convince somebody to encourage them, influence them to buy something. And hopefully it leads to a greater appreciation of this. And it all comes back to the artists, because we, you know, as we get more involved in here, we know a lot of the indie artists and stuff that and indie toy makers that do a lot of these. Not necessarily all the Japanese companies, the, you know, legacy companies like Marasan and stuff, but locally and domestically, you know, I think go back to Last Bastion Studios and Octil, their partnership that produced Kaiju Cream. Like, it is cool. Like, if Sofubi doesn't grow, you don't get as many of those types of toys. You just don't.
Exactly.
And so it's selfish. It's a little selfish for us to like not only sell you this, but we're doing it because we want more other cool stuff to do, because those artists need to know that they can make money designing this, and it is an avenue for them to you know, appoint their talents and use their resources, their time to create it. So I think that's really cool. And you see that at G-Fest with Last Bastion and Seismic and all these other more independent toy manufacturers that are there doing their thing.
Yeah, man. I mean, Octil killed it with the Kaiju Cream, and now he's doing the Godzilla UFO through Mondo, right? Like, that's amazing. So that's why we are constantly trying to, you know, support this and tell people like, hey, maybe you haven't seen Battle of the Planets, or maybe you don't know Kaiju 1, but like, go check it out, right? Like, you know.
Yeah, and look, and us that know Sofubi, when you get in there, like, yeah, you know the places to check, you know the news outlets, you know the Instagram handles to follow. Yeah. But guess what? We all started somewhere.
Exactly.
Right? And so you still need as many discovery points. Because like I always, when I if anybody ever questions this, because I think our little world, especially our toy collecting, Sofubi collecting, Kaiju fandom community is relatively small. And I don't think we get that because we talk to ourselves a lot. It's a good echo chamber, but it's an echo chamber. And then when you go to G-Fest and you see 7,000, and the large majority have no idea what it is. They've never seen one. They want their Bandai and their X Plus, which is awesome and great. But like, that's their only exposure, because those are out there more. They're backed by bigger companies, and people see them more, and you can buy them everywhere, more places, I should say. So like, there's not as many discovery points and places generating awareness for Sofubi outside of our little bubble. And that's not a negative thing. It's just a reality. And so like, I feel at G-Fest, it's like, we're out there trying to, in front of 7,000 people, trying to say, hey, this stuff is really, really cool. And here's why it's really expensive. And here are the type of artists that are making these. And so, yeah, I mean, exactly. So it's like, it's not for everybody, but like I think it can be for more people. And I think like I view it as like that's our job is to do that. Because
it's our mission statement, you know.
No, it really is. It really is. But enough about how altruistic and amazing we are. What else about? Sorry, I get on tangents, but I've been like really. The other day, something kind of, and this comment happened literally 1,000 times a day. So I don't know. I was in a mood, and I just saw the whole like, why does anybody want to pay $300 for insert Sofubi item here? Like they should really make it cheaper, and do it more. And
that's not the point.
Yeah, or and it sells out in 5 minutes, guys. If it sells out in 5 minutes at that price, if anything, they undervalued it. But like it's the artist or the small company that's doing most of these. They know what they can produce and what they can allocate from a resource standpoint. And if they need to charge X to make it, and they do make it, like that's good. That's a good thing. It's might stink for us. Like we have to take the us out of it, or the I out of it, and think of like the greater good of the artists and the community. And that means they're going to do more things and take more chances and do Godzillas in a UFO and do teal and pink Takaros.
Man.
If those were mass produced by Hasbro, there wouldn't be, we would be. I look at the modern toy collecting space because I know enough about it to be dangerous, because obviously I'm friends with the guy that knows a little bit about it, Jacob Walsh. I'm friends with the guy that knows a little bit about it, Ryan Wilhelm. I'm friends with a few people, right? And even though I'm not big into that scene, like there's a reason that there's the same repaints over a Hasbro Luke Skywalker or whatever. Like, I mean, there's a reason there's not as much good innovation there. There isn't ours, but you know what? Yes, sometimes a TYG toy is going to cost $1,200. But guess what? It sells out in 1 minute. So the pricing wasn't the problem because there's enough people. Now, to make it go from 20 people to 80 people, does it need it? Maybe. That's math. That's economics and stuff. But I went on a, not a tangent, but I was just so frustrated. I was like, it's not about I think when a person realizes that collecting something is not about you, it's about the greater ecosystem of the collecting. Like you become a much more happy collector because you even if it's like, oh, I didn't get this, but you know what? Somebody else did, which is great. The art, and this is more for like newer things. Like I get like the reselling market's a different animal, but like the artist that made this got it. They also now have inspiration maybe to do more really cool things and maybe produce more because, hey, I sold 10 at 80. Maybe I can sell 20 at 75. Maybe I can sell 100 at 50. If that's what they want to do. So there's always a positive for the greater collecting. And guess what? Down the line, you might now be able to get, you might make the sacrifice to lose the first one, but you might be able to get something really cool down the line from them because that one sold out so quickly. So you got to look at it as the overall, the positive. And it's a very, like I said, it's a big, always fluid type ecosystem in there. And yeah, if you look at it that way, like I said, some of the burden of having to have everything just kind of flows off and just falls off your shoulders and you're just happy.
It's so therapeutic when that happens, man, because then you look at things differently and you don't see necessarily a monetarily value,
Yeah.
You just see the value of the collectible and what it brings to you, the joy. And that's why we all got into this to begin with, right? Is because these things bring us joy. And so don't be bummed that something sold out, right? Be stoked that maybe another paint variant is going to happen because of that. And then you got another chance at bat. You know what I mean? So
of course. Yeah. And that artist that created that now was paid the right amount, what he felt was he or she felt was the right amount for that, because that's what they charge. And go on. So, well, like I said, there's always, somebody's probably like, yeah, but what about this? And yes, you're right. There's crap that happens out there. And there's, we can talk about flippers of like modern toys. Like it's available today. I'm going to buy it to flip it as opposed to finding a vintage toy. I get all of that, guys. Like that's a very, big topic, but
that's a part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, looking at the Spiral toy and Takaro, like stuff that just came out by, artists that are not Hasbro or toy makers that are not Hasbro and Mattel,
right,
or Bandai even, like they did great stuff, and I'm glad these things are selling it.
Same, man. I'm happy to be a part of the community. It's cool.
Hey, so is there anything else at G-Fest this year that you're looking forward to, or something that maybe you didn't get a chance to kind of peek into last year because you were so busy that you're hoping to be able to do this year?
Okay, so last year was crazy. It was my first G-Fest, and I feel like I got to tackle most of everything.
Mhm.
Did the panel. I worked in the coolest booth of all of G-Fest. I'm biased, right? But like, it was an amazing experience. Got to hang out with everybody post and pre-G-Fest, have breakfast, have dinner. So no, man, I want to get back in that vendor room. I'm like,
Yeah.
I have a calling, and it's like I need to do that again. I think it's like someone who's crazy enough to get in a boxing ring and actually do it.
Yeah.
Most times afterwards, they're like, "So how did you feel?" I want to do it again.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's how I feel. I'm like, yeah, dude,
Nice.
let's get back into G-Fest. It's cool to meet the celebrities. I'm not a big autograph person though.
Yeah.
It would
Same.
be cool to see some of the movies, but again, I'd rather be with the toys and the people and
Yeah.
talking those stories, So
Yeah, I
I'm
think
stoked.
I'm with you, man. I think I feel like, especially between the year before vending and this year, I feel good. I do want to, last year I missed it just because of timing, but I do want to try to find a way to get to the costume parade because that's always great. And I thought last year was, from what we've heard from everybody, was so good. It was cool to do karaoke or go back and watch karaoke after. That was
Karaoke was fun. Yeah.
But that's something I want to do. I want to spend a little bit more time in the arcade room, not to play like the modern games, but I want to go play the Godzilla Junior arcade thing. Those the ones in the pictured here. Like I didn't get a chance to last year, so I really want to. I want to do that. But other than that, like no, I'm not a huge panel guy. I'll go to some. It's hard with the vendor stuff.
Right.
I've had some really. I've witnessed some really good ones at G-Fest, especially that first year. The Collect All Monsters one, even though most of the Collect All Monster crew wasn't there that first year, was great. Leslie and them did a wonderful job. Last year, I was bummed I missed your panel, and I was bummed I missed the Kamanaga panel from Arasan. There's a lot of stuff that I was bummed, but there's so many good, our buddy Danny DeMana, he's in like 8 of them, and he always does a great one. The celebrities usually do a really good panel, like a good Q&A. It's always well thought out and some great people there. But it's just, it's something that I have to be comfortable with not going to any because it just coincides with vendor stuff.
Yeah, that's just the hat that I put on, pun intended, right? It's like we're going to G-Fest to do that, and that's what I want to do the most anyway. So it's just a win-win. Everything else that I get to experience is icing on the cupcake,
Yeah, and then also us when we get to see a lot of these in the vendor room, but mostly outside is the all the cosplay and all the costumes are so good. Obviously, the big ones stay out in the open area, but I remember last year the Dr. Sarazawa with the Oxygen Destroyer was great. The Shobajin were awesome. I got a Toku Toy Town picture of them. I think it was like the most liked photo of them last year for me. It was like the Shobajin cosplay with
rightfully so too. I mean,
M1, with M1s.
Yeah. Like these people really they get decked out, man. It's cool.
Yeah, and the vendor list has come out, and it is a lot of the same people from last year, which is great, as that means you're going to get Marasan, you're going to get M1, you're probably going to get US Toy with M1, your YMSF will be there, you're going to get Bob Eggleton and Matt Frank. But I think the biggest addition that I saw for me was James Groman's going to be there. James Groman is going to be there, and he does stuff for Mondo. Obviously, he's a legend in the toy design industry from all the stuff that he's worked on previously in the American toy market. His designs are crazy and just insane. So that'll be cool to see what he has at the booth, like to sell.
I hope he has a man thing from Mondo. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. Like he's one of those guys that it could be a booth of showcasing what's coming down the pipeline and jazz people up for it. Or it could be like, oh, here's some stuff, buy it. Like, I'm like, yes, sir. But
it will.
Yeah. So I don't know if he's going to bring some of his Godzilla stuff. I'm very curious. But as you know, we'll have to sneak off to, you have to watch the booth. I'll go grab my toys and you'll grab yours like we did last year. It's like hit up M1 and Marasan and just buy a US toy and buy as much as we can and get back to the booth.
Exactly.
Okay. So G-Fest, super pumped. It's about a month away. And then a month after that, And then a month after that, down here in the beautiful, nurturing bosom of Dallas-Fort Worth, we have Kaiju Go #2. I know I've talked about it on it before. We announced it on January 1st that it's coming back. Bigger, better. I know better. Last year was so fun.
Last year was amazing.
It was so good. Unfortunately, the downtown Cowtown of the ISIS Theater shut down a few months later. So that's a bummer. But we're beyond excited to be at the Texas Theater in Dallas. I mean, that is it's an iconic building, and it's historically, it is historically significant. I mean, it's been named one of the best art house cinemas in America by Criterion. They know a little something about good films, and it's just so cool. And so we're excited to be there. We're excited to show 2 films in Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 74 and Godzilla vs. Biollante, and a special Ultraman screening that we'll hopefully be able to release more information on soon. We're going to have great toys there, and we're going to have some amazing special guests. So I want to start with the guests because it dovetails nicely into the toys. So our special guests this year, last year we were so honored to have Bob Eggleton and John Yerkeba. So good. And it added so much credibility. John added I thought it was cool because John was a newer kid on the block in Kaiju, even though obviously his stuff in Ghostbusters and Transformers and Ninja Turtles has been, well received. And it was so fun having him there, one of his first Kaiju centric events. And then Bob, who is, the grand master of all Kaiju art. So that was so cool. And then this year, getting Mark and Max Nagata from Max Toy Co. Mark has done everything, whether it's 2D or 3D, does not matter. And then Max, I mean, I felt like it was so cool to be able to get him because I feel like we timed it perfectly. Because I feel like the last 6 months, you're seeing so much. I've seen on Instagram somebody getting a new custom Max Nagata piece. And his toy painting as stuff that he's been doing with Frank Mysterio and stuff. It's
so cool.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I love it that we're able to kind of get both Nagatas there because their stuff it's so good and their 2D stuff is so different. That's one of the things I really like about their 2D art is different as well as their toy painting, of course. But so excited. They're important to our fandom. And when you factor in Ultraman and the Tokusatsu piece, Mark and Max even more so. I don't know, man. What were your thoughts when we were able to kind of have our secret meeting and chat? Hey, here's who we're thinking, and oh yeah, we got him. What were your thoughts?
I seriously, man. So my palms just started drenching in sweat, and I was just hold on. We got Max and Mark to both come out, and you're yeah, and I'm and they're gonna They're both coming to hang out with us and do this whole show. And you're yeah. And I'm
yeah.
I think that's exactly what I said. I mean, it's insane, man. And then he told me that I'm going to do the Q&A, which is even crazier. What an honor it's going to be. I mean, I did the Wayne's World thing in my head, over and over, we're not worthy. We're not worthy. We suck. It's going to be surreal, man. And I know we're trying to make Kaiju Go 2 bigger and better than Kaiju 1, and their inclusion far and away helps us do that. And
I think so. I'm excited about your Q&A. The VIP tickets are sold out. We're going to have that whole it's a little smaller theater above the main theater where they're showing the films before the films are shown. You can do all of it. It's all spaced out, I promise. But you're going to have a jam-packed auditorium there doing the Q&A, and then we're going to screen the Ultraman stuff, which is just perfect. But the other thing I think is really cool about Mark and Max is that they also dovetail nicely into, I think, what our toy roster is kind of morphing into. And now I wish Chaz was on here because he is really the mastermind behind this. I want to give him all the credit in the world. A lot of this stuff started with the hope of bringing the vinyl toy and indie toy and Sofubi scene to Dallas-Fort Worth in a little bit bigger manner and more concerted effort to hype up local and hopefully, a few kind of main event travel in type artists that have produced some really cool toys. And last year we had David DeGrand, and he was getting into the toys. He did a wonderful stuff. We had Michael Morse, who's coming back this year, and Chance Priest, who's just a legend there last year with his kind of folk art, Warriors of the Universe stuff. It's just, very unique. And I think this year we're even doubling down on that. And the fact that not only do you have Michael Morse coming back, you're now anchored by maybe the most beloved indie kaiju toy maker in this country in Max Toy. So
100%.
I think that allows us to kind of anchor in that. So he's going to have some really cool, probably Subaraya stuff, some of their own Max Toy. Hopefully he'll have some Sofubi Man, Sofubi Woman, maybe some of Captain Max and all those aliens that are part of that world, Izon, and like they're really cool. But that allows us now to have him and Michael Morris, and then we learned that Maggitarius is coming, and we learned that Last Bastion is coming, and then Creatures of Decay by Dingy Dave and Dirt House Vinyl and Plagued Earth.
Dude, he's been doing some crazy stuff.
And these are the guys that we see and like, okay, they're at Monsterpalooza, they're at 5 Points, they're at Decon, they're doing all this, making all this great stuff, and we're excited now to have them here. And of course, like Chaz also does amazing stuff, and like I know sometimes he sells it. I know, but like the Chaz Bro stuff, and we're hoping that he might be able to share his newest toys by then, which will be really cool. And he deserves to be right up there with them. And then aside from that, you're gonna have Toy Matrix and myself at Toku Toy Town. That'll be, we'll give you your Marsons and your Marmots and your Godzilla stuff and your Bandais and your T-shirts and all that stuff. Yes, that's there. But, make no mistake about it, as much as Gary and we love to talk about our stuff, like we're going to be spending our money we make down in the area that has Max Toy and Michael Morse and Maggitarius and Plagued Earth and Dirt House and all those guys. Because that is really, I think, the spirit of Kaiju Go is that indie crazy design, but still within this kind of broad kaiju world. And that's another one where it's really cool to introduce people that love kaiju and Godzilla to these artists that are making these just freaking amazing toys.
The goal is to get something from everyone's table,
Yeah, I've already been eyeballing it. I'm like, I hope Sagittarius brings this.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
And then we can just do a video on that and be like, this is what we're trying to say through all of these amazing figures and stuff, right? Like, it's going to be so much fun. I can't wait.
So I'm excited because we've already announced two event exclusives. We know that Max will be bringing his exclusive print that is the Kaiju Go monster basically destroying the Texas Theater, walking over it. He's not destroying it, which I'm getting that. I don't care who. I might have to be pushing over grannies and little kids. I don't care. I'm getting that one. I love that one. I love his style. Like, and I have the one he did for the Giant Robo Gallery or Giant Robot Store. I love that style. I think it's just so cool. And then Plagued Earth announced the Moon King, the one exclusive that they're going to have there.
It looks so awesome.
I'm getting that too.
Yeah.
I might buy a couple of those. That I think might be my favorite of his designs. And in Maggitarius, I hate it because like I've seen literally in the last week like 6 things I want to buy, but I'm like, I'm gonna save it because I'm gonna like go nuts at Kaiju Go with the Maggitarius stuff. Yeah. We might have some stuff. We'll talk Max Toy and Toku Toy Town stuff maybe a little bit later on. Just everybody sit tight.
We're cooking.
Yeah, we're cooking some stuff up. But there's just gonna be some really cool stuff there. I'm really excited to see that because we only have space for like 10 or 12 vendors. And of course that doesn't even include Matt Frank. I mean, literally has stuff up on the Godzilla store right now. I mean, he's obviously one of the top kaiju artists in the world. He's going to be there selling his wares, as well as Mike Keller, who was there last year and had some really cool stuff that a lot of people were digging. And so he'll be there still. So we don't have a room to do 100 vendors. I wish we did, but we wanted to make sure that it was curated. These are all invite only guys. Like nobody asked us. Like we asked them because they're so good. We begged them to come to our show.
I'm kicking with us.
Yeah. So I don't know. So I hope that continues to grow. I know Chaz is he's the right man for the job to do that and be our ambassador. And let's say, hey, Yes, there's 5 points, and yes, there's Decon, and yes, there's Monster Palooza. But hey, we're not doing anything in August. Let's go to Dallas. Let's check out some Kaiju Go. Let's tell those people here that we got some really cool stuff too. So we're hoping that that's what happens as we continue on.
And I think it will. It's like a Field of Dreams kind of scenario. If you build it, they will come, right? And we've been building it, man, like day by day, brick by brick, trying to just tell people we love this and this is a lifestyle. And we're going to put on the show, so come hang out. We've got Thirsty Thursday coming down from Oregon.
Oh, my God, I forgot about that. Yeah.
People are coming, man. So it's going to be a big deal. I'm trying to get Sal from Ultrazilla Toys to come by and check us out. Putting out some feelers, telling people this is going to be a big thing. So I'm beyond stoked.
Yeah, Movie Monster Fun Time Go podcast. They're one of our new sponsors this year, which is great. Dom and Hope, they're wonderful. Go check their podcast out. Yeah, we're gonna, like I said, I hope when people go there, they a lot of people come for the films, and that's great, and that's wonderful. They're awesome films. It's cool to see Godzilla on the big screen. There's nothing better in the world. There really isn't. But I hope you do give a chance to check out those awesome artists that are in that hall, because they do some really amazing stuff. And let's grow this thing, man. And the Kaiju Go 3, let's just put it like this. We are already brainstorming stuff for Kaiju Go 3, and we're 2 months out from Kaiju Go 2. So everything's looking good. But get your tickets. There's general admission available. We got to get you tickets.
WrestleMania 3, Hulk Hogan body slammed the Giant. You know what I mean? So just imagine.
And Savage and Steamboat, and you had Savage and Steamboat.
Greatest Intercontinental Championship match of all time, right?
Yeah,
who knows what we're going to do?
Kaiju Go 3. Maybe it's 3 for 3 Godzilla films. I don't know. 3 guests. Maybe there's, I don't know. There could be a lot. It's going to be crazy.
Possibilities are endless.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot of stuff. We got to talk Monster Seafood Wars, man.
Dude.
Because,
I have 2 words.
Yes. What are those 2 words?
Jumbo Cook.
Yes. Well, we have a whole segment on Jumbo Cook. But Jumbo Cook is maybe the thing that needs the kaiju or anything in a tokusatsu property that's most in need of a giant Sofubi right now is Jumbo Cook.
I'd buy every single variant.
So, hey, real quick though, what has been your history with parodies? And the reason I ask you that is because there's some kaiju fans that will dismiss parodies right away. There's some people just don't like that. They think it's poking fun. They have a hard time getting behind any more low budget than what we already see typically in the kaiju genre. So going into it, what are you a guy that is open to parodies? Are you a guy that's ooh, or and even that beyond that, kind of low budget type media?
So 100%, I think I have the driest sense of humor of anyone that I've ever met, right? And so parodies are not only right up my alley, but they're almost like a preferred media form for me. I absolutely love just not making fun of stuff that I care about, right? But it's just fun to kind of have a lighter approach to it every now and again, and not take things so seriously. We all know Godzilla's the best. We all know the kaiju movies are the best. But isn't it fun to see some dudes that really look like blow-up mattresses, fight each other and stuff, and then see a Jumbo Cook emerge out of nowhere via remote control? Dude, this movie was amazing. So, I love parodies. I'm not too terribly well-versed, though, in the kaiju parody world.
An ever-growing.
I want to learn more.
So the reason I picked this one is because I mentioned Jake and I are doing one of our much-talked-about films, ones that we talk about a lot on the show. It's Death Kappa. We've never done an official one, and I just saw on Tubi they added Death Kappa, the English dub version, not just the subtitle version. And I was like, I've never seen the dub. I've only seen the subtitle. I'm like, we got to watch this. And Jake's like, yeah. And I was like, okay. And I watched it, and I was like, I like that. I want another parody, but I know which ones to avoid. I know which ones I'm not going back to anytime soon. And I was like, well, we have done an official Monster X Strikes Back in our 2-part Gilala episode. So I was like, well, if I want to talk to Ryan, let's do one I haven't seen. Let's hope he hasn't seen it. And so that's why I ended up with Monster Seafood Wars, is because I hadn't seen it. And you told me you hadn't seen it, and I was like, okay, this will be a good one. And I don't, I've heard enough about it to like, hopefully that it stays away from the Raiga versus King Oga thing, and hopefully more towards Death Kappa and Monster X Strikes Back. Because that's how I view my parodies, man. I'm like, for me, like, I think like in the kaiju parody world, I like with a parody, like you can tell the person that's making this really loves it, right? Like loves the genre. That's how they make it. And so that's a big check, but that's not all. Like if you're going to do a parody and you make fun of things like how low budget it is, or like some of the, the typical special effects or the tropes in whatever the genre that you like is, you got to go all in. And that's where I think some films like Rego don't, and like low budget trying to be serious doesn't land the same as low budget trying to be low budget and being a parody of that. And I think sometimes you can get away from it, and sometimes it's like it's not funny. That also whatever. So if it's funny, I can tell it comes from a good place, and I know what I'm watching is a parody. I don't have to like think about it or like, is this a parody? Then usually you're pretty good. And I think where Hayashida's trilogy fails, films like Death Kappa and Monster X succeed. And I mentioned Monster X because I think that movie is so silly. And even though the first one is played straight, they do a good job. But that's directed by Minoru Kawasaki, who does this one. And so I didn't know how familiar you were with Kawasaki's work, but I just had to show this little collage of pictures to represent 8 of the movies that he's done. If anybody has any questions, yes, he has films like The Calamari Wrestler. He has films like The Koala Executive, which is literally just a guy in a koala head, an anthropomorphic koala that, like, he's a businessman. He has Crab Goalkeeper, which is a crab that's a goalkeeper. And he has a lot of movies that tie in with like wrestling, and wrestlers are in it and stuff. And so Monster Seafood Wars like fits right in with this guy's crazy madness and his low budget parody spoof films.
It's such a perfect title,
It is. And so like, I don't know, like I just, before somebody watches it, like I want you to know, like this guy also did a movie about a calamari that's a wrestler, and like there's like sex scenes in it with the calamari. So like know that going in, right? This is not Godzilla -1. But anyway, so there's that. And the other thing, I guess, kind of in like a little bit of background on the film for those that might not be super aware is, this is not a a film that was done a long time ago. I mean, this came out in like 2020. I think SRS put it out in 2021, so it's relatively new. The other thing that I thought was great was, I don't know if you saw this when you were looking it up, but the literal translation is Three Monsters Gourmet. And I think that is like the greatest. I wish that would have been just the English name. Cause I'm like that, or like that should be our new like restaurant. Like, I mean, that is like so good. But but this film, like it wasn't just us that are watching it. Like it had like an 8-episode web comic that came out after. Like there's some pub and fanfare around it, like there are with a lot of Kawasaki's films. But yeah, so enough about kind of the background. But so I have to get your overall take. So I know you mentioned, you kind of alluded to it, but like, overall, Monster Seafood Wars to you is?
Okay, so I was watching it with my 5-year-old. So some details eluded me. But even still, I had a great time watching it.
Were there details? I mean, come on.
When I sit down and watch a new flick, I really do try to give it my full attention. Being crazy ADD, it's difficult at times. But that said, this was very captivating in my opinion. And I really enjoyed the characters. I mean, I thought it was great. Like the guy at the beginning was just like, my squid,
yes.
my lobster. Like where are my stuff? And then boom, you see these giant monsters, and they just kind of like run into each other. It's so great.
What is it? What is it? Kaiju Big Battle, like that?
Yeah,
like hugging each other. Yeah.
I mean, but like you said though, right? So while it is super goofy, you can tell that there is like a serious token of love and gratitude to movies that have come before it. Yeah. I mean, it has a really unique flavor, I'll say.
Yeah, yes, it does. Seafood flavor. Yeah, they. What I liked about the film, and I agree. Like right off the bat, like I think it's a parody, right? Like I think like right out of the gate, this isn't something that's supposed to be taken at face value. But I thought they did a lot of stuff overall that I thought was really, really good. Number one, first off, vinegar cannon, genius. The vinegar cannons were great. I thought the one thing that I thought was also like the fact that it's the SMAT, the
SMAT, yes,
the seafood monster attack team, which is funny because the guy that plays the main commander was the suit actor for Return of Ultraman, for Ultraman Jack. So Eiichi Kikuchi. So like I thought that was kind of funny because Matt's in there, so I thought it was kind of a fun little dig at him. So it's like, okay, that's funny. But the one part I actually thought was really good, like parody aside, I thought the whole idea of the monster meat boom, like the fact that like what if the monsters were killed, but they're like really good, and it creates this like crazy like food scene, like super expensive fine dining Michelin star type stuff, or secret underground izakayas to get your monster meat. I was not expecting that when it was going through, and I was like, that's actually could be like an interesting story. It made me think of a film I haven't seen, but like, what do you do with a dead kaiju? Like what happens? Like, how do you dispose of the carcass, and what does that look like? Like, what if it was edible and you wanted to eat it? I thought that was a funny, like a fun and funny kind of sub storyline to this whole thing, was like this monster meat boom. I thought that was clever.
That's what I mean by unique flavor, right? It was something that like you didn't see coming. It was totally off the beaten path, but it works really well in this story, And it was just different. I mean, it was really cool. Like when the main guy is like bugging that date, and they're all getting pissed, and it's just like, what is happening?
Yeah.
But it was amazing.
Yeah. The over the top nature of all the characters were like, it was spot on. Like, I mean, totally the kind of the lazy, brilliant person that's only whatever. Then you have the, obviously the evil villain, which right out of the way you spot, like, this guy's gonna
from
do
the jump.
It's like so, but like done in a way like to make it that way. Like it was very predictable. What did you think of the creature designs?
It's weird, right? I mean, at first I was like, is this Yo Gabba Gabba, right? I mean, like, they're very just like inflatable arm dudes, you see it like car lots and stuff. But but I enjoyed it though. That's not a bad thing. I think like had they gone any more serious, it might have taken a different feel to the movie, right? They needed to be super hokey like that.
Oh yeah,
they still serve its point.
The squid to me was like female Gezera. Like it looks like it took space to me, but I gave him some eyelashes.
The octopus was crazy because you could see his legs. It's pretty.
The octopus one was over the top. It was so good. I actually thought the crab one was actually pretty good.
The crab one's not bad.
I like the crab one. I mean, we'll talk about the best of all the suits in a second. But was there anything that you felt that didn't work, like that just didn't like land?
I know it sounds kind of cliche, but no, like even the sound and like the music and stuff, I thought like
the music was good.
Usually that's kind of a hard thing to land. It all worked pretty well. I mean, like even like the really bad scenes where they're kind of like driving around and you see a kaiju's hand kind of come in, when it comes on this side, like I enjoyed all of that.
Yeah. So I'm glad you brought that scene up because actually, so that one's interesting. So I love like some of my favorite parts, and I'll use a scene from Death Kappa. And this there's not a spoiler or anything like this. It's fine. But like they, like when a reporter's like doing something, like the kaiju attacks and like gets set on fire, like it's from a person, and like you clearly see them like change it to like a little puppet and stuff like that. Like, so like, they're wanting you to know, like, this is how we had to do it. Like they make sure you see the strings right on the airplanes and stuff. I felt like they could have gone on that scene where you have like, I love the kaiju arm. Like it's obviously like not anywhere in the scene, it's layered on. Like I thought they could have gone like it, even like they did it at the very end where they made it like the little toy Jeep. I thought they could have even done even more silly or zany or parody type stuff in that scene instead of just have him scream and fall out of the Jeep. I thought they could have changed them to like, somebody lighting the car on fire or something like that. Like totally. Yeah, exactly. Right. See the person walk behind it and set it on fire. But yeah, that was the arms, the flailing arms that are just coming to the screen. They're nowhere. They're like 2-dimensional and like the 3D depth of the actual scene. I'm like, what? The thing that stunk about this one, which you see this, and I think maybe this is what separates Death Kappa for me than some of the other parodies, is like on this one, like I felt, there's like so much dialogue and like a screen with one person on there explaining it, because to do those actions, it would have taken a lot of money, right? Because he's explaining this attack. You can't show it because they don't have the budget for it. And you see that, I think, of like a lot of Asylum films. I feel like there's 3 sets, right? There's like this set, and then, whatever. So I felt there's a lot of like, we're at the stadium and the commander is going to explain what happened here, in their like interview style. So I felt that got a little old, but like,
yeah, they did it a few times.
I get why they did it. I mean, it's cost savings. But it wasn't as bad as like say go watch Rego, the first one. It's literally like there's like three sets. There really is like 3 sets. So they did better on this one. But it was still like you could tell that it was a little bit limited and kind of didn't make the world seem as big as what I think, like for a parody that's super low budget. I think Death Kappa did a better job on that, but way better. This is definitely on the kind of the mid upper tier for me from a parody standpoint. And so let's talk about the highlight.
Dude,
to me, this is my takeaway. Jumbo Cook is the greatest mech in kaiju history. Like screw Mechagodzilla, screw Mechanicon, Mogra.
I know that's a hot take to some, right? Somebody's probably throwing their computer or like throwing something at their TV. I second that notion. Jumbo Cook is the best.
Oh my gosh, I just love the fact that like that's the big solve, and it's just like has nothing to do with the main character. Has nothing to do with it. It's his buddy that figures it out. Has nothing to do with Set Tap Z, which apparently, and I didn't know this, like in in Kaiju Mono or one of his other films, like he has a setup X, so it's like a fun something
that's cool.
But anyway, and it's just like, oh yeah, we have Jumbo Cook's gonna break out of the shopping center and it's just like what
the dude just shows up at the football field and he's like, I've got it.
Yeah,
it's Jumbo Cook. And they're like, what? And then he just busts it out in like the coolest way possible.
And I love he has a color timer. He's about to run low. I'm like, what?
And there's an English dude who's just like, oh, cool, Jumbo Cook.
That's another thing. I forgot. Oh, one of my favorite things that they make fun of is naming the kaiju. How in every film, it's like, oh, that person is Titanosaurus. Like, how did these names happen? And it's like you just see the cut to the person with the sign. We will call him Takara, and then and then he leaves. And no explanation who this person is. But Jumbo Cook saves the day. It wasn't the main character coming up with some crazy thing to figure it out to save the day. No, it's his buddy who's kind of like a walking Deus Ex Machina. Just comes in there with his Jumbo Cook, who's the Deus Ex Machina of the Deus Ex Machina, and basically just chops them up, and we get a whole giant bowl of seafood ramen in the
which is perfect, right? Yeah. It's perfect. I mean, you're like, how can this zany movie end in a way that'll be both like appetizing and make you want to watch it again, pun intended, and not make you think, okay, all parodies are just a waste of time. This movie is perfect. Like,
I want toys of all these characters. And I think like Jumbo Cook has had a lot of like that charm of in Monster X Strikes Back, Gilala fights Takemajin, and it has a little bit of that kind of like, it's more human in nature. Obviously, this one is obviously a robot. Then in Takemajin's a statue, but like it has like, I don't know, there's just something about it that just is like so charming, and the fact that it's like has this giant blade and it's a robot and whatever, and it's fighting these soft very soft, suited, inflatable arm type guy. Yeah, I don't know. It was amazing, and he had a color timer.
What are the odds that we get a Jumbo Cook Sofubi? Right?
I know. Titanic Creations, man. Come on.
Somebody, please.
I mean, I think that I need a Space Monster Wong Mogwai toy, and I thought I needed that maybe more than any. And then I watched this, and I was like, no, I need it's might be up there with Mamagon. I want a full Mamagon Sofubi, not Shukra, but Mamagon, yes. I don't want that damn homework monster. But Mamagon is number one, and now maybe it's a 1A 1B situation here with Jumbo Cook. I just
imagine this world, Jay, where we have a Sofubi Jumbo Cook, but also a Bandai Soul of Chogokin die-cast metal. Right? I mean, hey, dude, they're doing Mecha Godzillas, so maybe one.
Yeah. I don't know if Jumbo Cook quite has the cloud of Mecha Godzilla yet.
Yes. Yeah.
No, I really think he was like, he's maybe the star of my week. Not even the show. Like, he's the star of my week. Like, he was. I've never been as happy watching a show. I don't think as I was when Jumbo Cook flew in there, and I was like,
dude, I paused it.
Yeah,
and told my wife to come here, and she was like, "What?" And I was like, "You have to see this. It's Jumbo Cook," and she's like, "Okay."
Fine, that's cool.
Yeah. You're enjoying it. I'm like, no, CJ and I are freaking out. Like, this is amazing.
Yes. So our takeaway, everybody listening, is Jumbo Cook is awesome, and
dude,
watch Monster Seafood Wars.
Yeah.
To me, like, oh, and hey, there should be a sequel because the end scene set us up for a sequel. So it's great, but once again, guys, like, if you're one of those people that hates all parodies and low budget stuff because like it is that. View that within context, or better yet, watch the Rego trilogy and see bad parody. Watch this Death Kappa and Monster X and see much better parody. Because I will stand by that. It's good and it's silly and it's zany and it has Jumbo Cook. So, and vinegar cannons.
Dude.
And vinegar cannons.
It brings balance to the force. You know what I'm saying?
It does. And I mean, the setup at the end is great for not only the bad guy to return, but also the 3 new seafood monsters, because there's 3 new ones in the offering. So
that's the creative part that I love. It's like, okay, listen, we know we're playing in the sandbox here. It's really corny and stuff, but like, we've got some kind of cool ideas too,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no, I mean, and Kawasaki's done so much good stuff. He's go check his catalog out. But no. So my challenge to you, my homework to you, Ryan, is now that you've seen this, I want you to go, because it's on Tubi right now as well. I think with ads, is Death Kappa. You can watch. Honestly, like, I didn't notice that much difference between the English dub and the subtitle. It's not like one of those things where it's like a totally different film. No.
Right.
The English dub is fun. Probably not a CJ one. It might have a little bit more. Some not crazy. It's not terrible, but there's some more stuff. But there's some cool cameos in it from some directors that you may know. There's some really cool stuff in that one. I think, to me, that one's still my favorite. I don't know. X-Strike Spec's really funny too. The G8 Summit is so stupid. It's so funny. Yes, I have to. Now I might have to go watch that tonight. But
I'm gonna do a second viewing of this tonight.
Yeah, go watch Death Kappa, because I think Death Kappa will fit more. If you like Seafood Wars, I think you like Death Kappa. Death Kappa is crazy. I mean, there's planes carrying giant cucumbers. That's all I gotta say. Or helicopters carrying giant cucumbers. So anyway, but dude, I'm so happy you were able to join, dude.
Thanks for having me.
I always love having you on here, and next time I promise we can review a real movie.
or this counts. This counts for me.
Oh yeah,
this is awesome.
And thank you for sharing all your pickups, dude. And I will see you soon. But hey, for anybody that's just now catching you, let them know where they can find you on social and what shows that you've been a part of and all that good stuff.
Yeah, Ryan Wilhelm on Facebook, Wilhelm R24 on Instagram. You know the jam. That's what I always used to say, right? I'm sometimes on Collect All Monster stuff when they let me, and I do that. And
when they let you out of your cage.
Yeah, and then I do this lovely show with Jay too from time to time, and you can find me. I'm always around talking about kaiju and stuff, trying to let people know what it's all about, man. Because it's not just goofy looking toys and bright paint apps and stuff. There's stories to these pieces, It's important to connect the dots. So that's what I always try to do.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you again, and guys, we'll be back next week with the Tattoo Titan of Tokusatsu, Mr. Chica Walsh, and I will be talking Death Kappa. I will be defending it with all the haters out there.
Of course.
gotta love and respect. Alrighty, guys. Adios.
Jumbo Cook.